The morning started the same way it always did. I woke up to the sour stench of bleach, a ticking bathroom fan, and the thick silence of a house that hated me. Mom's voice pierced it like a blade. "Brush your teeth, filth," she snapped, tossing my toothbrush on the wet floor. I didn't move. Not yet. I waited until I heard the flush. The toilet. Every morning before I even opened the bathroom door, she dipped it. My toothbrush. She'd swirl it in the toilet bowl like it was part of some twisted ritual, then slam it down next to the sink and yell, "Let's see if toilet water can fix that rotten breath." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Dad always added his own insult while sipping his instant coffee in the hallway. "She's lucky to even have a sink. We should have just left her with the drain rats at the shelter." I was 25. I had a part-time job cleaning stalls at a horse ranch 20 minutes away. It paid cash, no taxes. I kept it a secret. My room was the basement, damp, cold, no windows. They called it the kennel. My mattress was on the floor, next to a broken laundry machine they never fixed. One day, I came up early. The bathroom door was half open and I saw her. Mom. She wasn't even hiding it. She held my toothbrush in one hand and flushed the toilet with the other like it was a game. She waited until the water spun, then stirred the bristles like she was mixing a drink. When she noticed me standing there, she didn't flinch. She smiled. "You know what, Savannah?" "What?" I asked flatly. "It's the only thing dirty enough for your mouth. Don't forget to scrub your tongue." Dad walked by shirtless, belly hanging over his shorts, and muttered, "She's lucky she even has teeth. Should have pulled those out when she was 5. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I nodded, got it, and walked back to my room. That night, I didn't brush my teeth. I just laid there and stared at the concrete ceiling, thinking about how every day for the last 15 years I had been told I was garbage, that I was the broken one, the mistake, the unpaid bill they couldn't get rid of. My older sister Candace didn't live with us. She was in Miami, married to some orthodontist. She never called, but when she came back once for Christmas 3 years ago, she laughed when she saw me, called me the leftover. "Don't worry," she'd said while adjusting her diamond earring. "Mom and Dad still love you in their own way, like how people love their old shoes, covered in dirt but too lazy to throw out." She said it with a smirk. Back then, I still cared. But not now, not anymore. The next morning, I took my toothbrush back before she could grab it. Mom shouted from the kitchen, "Hey, get back here, I haven't cleaned it yet." I ignored her. She came charging into the bathroom, but I was already done. "What do you think you're doing?" she snapped. "Brushing," I said, rinsing it in clean water. "Rinsing it won't get rid of who you are." I turned and looked her dead in the eyes. "Then maybe I should start scrubbing with bleach." She narrowed her eyes. "Try that. Might finally shut your disgusting mouth for good." I walked out. I packed a small bag and took the bus to work early. It wasn't much, but the ranch manager, Eli, noticed something was off. He was quiet, kind, wore old denim jackets and called me kiddo, even though I wasn't a kid. I liked that. At lunch, I finally asked him something I'd been holding in for years. If someone treated an animal like they treat me, would they go to jail? He stopped chewing. His answer was simple. Yeah. That night, I walked back into the house with a calm I hadn't felt in months. My parents were on the couch watching TV. I walked over and placed something in front of them, a white toothbrush, a sealed bag, a note. Mom squinted. "What the hell is this?" "It's mine," I said. "I dipped it in your wine glass this morning." She looked horrified. Dad shot up. "You did what?" I smiled. "Every sip you took tonight had a little extra seasoning." "You freak." "Oh, don't worry," I added. "I cleaned it first, in the toilet, like you always do." Mom gagged. Dad charged forward. But I didn't back up. This time, I looked him in the eye and said, "I quit playing your pet. The kennel's closed." Then I walked downstairs, gathered my few things, and left through the back door. I didn't have a car. I didn't have much, but I had one thing they could never take again control. And I had a plan. But that part, that comes next. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the edge of the bus station bench, watching truckers load fuel in the silence before dawn. The cold made my fingers burn, but it was still warmer than that house ever was. By 6 a.m., I was back at the ranch. Eli blinked when he saw me walking up with a duffel bag over my shoulder. "You sleep here?" he asked. "No," I said, "but I will now." He didn't question it. He gave me an old horse blanket and cleared space in the hayloft above the stable. "It ain't legal," he warned, "but it's warm." And it was. For the first time in years, I woke up to the sound of snorting horses, not slammed doors. Steam rose from their nostrils in the morning air. They didn't care who I was. They just cared if I showed up. I cleaned out stalls. I fed the foals. I did more than I was paid for. Because every second I worked, I forgot the sound of my dad laughing. I forgot the toilet water. I forgot that for 2 decades I lived like a stray no one claimed. Eli gave me rides home after nightfall. Except now, I had no home. He found out by accident one day when he dropped me off and I didn't get out of the truck. "This ain't your place, is it?" I stayed quiet. He pulled over on a dirt path past the orchard and cut the engine. "You livin' in the loft full time?" "Yeah." "And your parents?" "They're rich." He blinked again, like his brain had to reroute. "They got a house and you sleep on hay?" I didn't answer. He leaned forward and said something that stuck to my ribs. "People feed animals better than that." I turned to him. "Then maybe I'm not people." He didn't smile, didn't pity me either, just nodded. The next morning, I walked into the ranch house to wash my hands before chores, and I found a little note taped to the bathroom mirror, Eli's handwriting. It said, "You're not broken. You're unclaimed. There's a difference." That day I didn't cry. Not like a victim. Not like someone needing saving. I cried like someone waking up from a nightmare and realizing the dream was still worse. Because I knew exactly what I had to do. Not destroy them, not expose them, not burn down their life. I was going to erase the proof that I ever existed in theirs. Quietly, one step at a time. The plan started small. I removed myself from the family cell plan. I walked into the provider and paid for my own SIM, even if it meant skipping dinner for 2 nights. I canceled the joint bank card my dad opened when I was 16, the one that let him track every cent I spent. I deleted the cloud album that held my childhood photos. Not one image of me was left in their shared folders. I downloaded them first, put them on a flash drive, hid it in the ranch office. Then I deleted my social media accounts they followed. My sister texted once. "Mom said you blocked them. What now? You joining a cult?" I didn't reply. And when my parents sent me a message 2 weeks later saying, "Your presence is still required at Candace's vow renewal," I left it on read. I didn't go. They sent another message. "This behavior confirms why we never should have kept you." So I sent them a photo. It was a picture of my new toothbrush still in the wrapper, and beneath it, a note. "This mouth is clean now. Stay out of it." I didn't hear from them for months after that. But they weren't done. One Sunday, Eli came back from the farmer's market and found me crying behind the stables. I showed him the envelope. It was from my parents. Inside was a single check, $100, with a note. "For your hygiene. Buy a proper brush or something to clean that attitude." Eli took the envelope, tore the check in half, burned it in the barrel. Then he looked at me with steady eyes. "You don't erase people like that. You humiliate them by showing who they could have raised." That's when the idea hit. I wouldn't just disappear from their world. I'd rebuild a better one right in front of them without ever speaking their name again. Fall came early that year. The mornings at the ranch started darker, colder, quieter. But I didn't mind. My muscles were stronger now. My eyes didn't dart at sudden sounds. I slept better on hay than I ever had on that silk-sheeted prison back home. And most importantly, I had something they could never take from me. A life that wasn't tied to their faucet. Eli handed me a small envelope one morning. "From the old woman at the feed store," he said someone dropped it off. Inside was a thick wedding invitation my sister's. It was printed on pearl cardstock with fake gold foil and all. The note read, "Bring your best behavior. You'll be seated far from family. Keep your face clean." I don't know why they wanted me there. Maybe to humiliate me with how perfect her life was. Maybe to remind me I was still the blemish on their family tree. But I didn't cry. I smiled. And I finally understood what my revenge would be. I was going to leave a void so painful they'd feel it for the rest of their lives, not through drama, not through fire, but through silence so loud it echoed. So I RSVP'd yes, but I didn't show up. Instead, I boxed a gift, not something pretty. It was a worn-out wooden brush, the one I used at the ranch to clean boots and hooves, covered in years of dried dirt, worn bristles, stained wood. I tied a red ribbon around it and slid a note underneath the band. "You always said I wasn't worth a clean mouth, but this brush gave more kindness than you ever did." That was all. I left it at the wedding venue the night before, addressed to Mom, Dad. Then I packed a bag. I took a one-way train west, didn't tell Eli where. He cried. I hugged him and said, "You saved me the day you didn't flinch." I started over. In a new town, under a new name. I found work at a small equine therapy center. They helped kids with trauma kids who flinched when people raised their voice, who cried when someone touched their shoulder. I didn't have to tell them my story. They saw it in the way I helped their horses breathe easier. Months later, one of the teens gave me a thank you card. Inside it said, "You make people feel safe. I hope someone made you feel that way once." I taped that card to my fridge, and under it the flash drive with my childhood photos. My proof that I once existed in a home where love came through faucets and bruises. I never contacted my parents again. But I heard through someone that my dad opened the box at the reception, thinking it was from a wealthy donor. They say he turned pale. My mom stormed out. My sister cried, not because I was gone, but because her spotlight dimmed for 5 seconds. That was enough. Because from that day forward, whenever they looked at family photos, wedding videos, or grandparent scrapbooks, there would be one face missing. One daughter no longer claiming them, no longer needing them, no longer fitting in the frame. And that emptiness, that silence, was louder than anything I ever could have screamed. They dipped my toothbrush in toilet water. So I gave them a life where I disappeared so completely. They'd choke every day wondering where they went wrong, and I never looked back. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.